Just about a month from being removed, the Prisma 2 case was up 200%, but looking at these 5 cases right here, which one's going to be the next one to go? Well, we can actually get a good idea about this. That's because we have this data right here. This is the unboxing compared to the amount dropped, and we can see a very significant difference between something like the Dreams and Nightmares, which is a very hot commodity, and the Snakebite and the Recoil case, which are currently probably the most likely to actually get moved into the rare drop pool next. SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins, with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options, and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description. Now, I want to make it clear, this is just my interpretation of the data. However, the data itself does not lie. We can see that the Recoil case is significantly underperforming in terms of unboxing numbers for where it should be. We can see that it's actually already caught up to the Fracture and the Snakebite and the relative amount of cases out there, even though it was released over 6 months later. This is a huge discrepancy because we don't see any other cases going massively up like this in terms of people not really wanting to unbox it. Now, you can obviously take whatever you want from this data, but I would definitely say the Recoil is not on the greatest trajectory right now. But what's been going absolutely crazy, possibly even exploding, is the cheaper rare cases. We can see massive increases in this area, possibly 50% for the Danger Zone case, and a lot of these other ones are still sitting at 30 to 35% in the past month. It's a massive increase for an area that was rather stagnant for a significant amount of time. Now, this is for a couple different reasons, and I'll tell you why I don't think they're going to be going back down in a second, but a lot of these cases are in a very prime position. That's because we can look at unboxing numbers, and we can see that these cases are heavily in demand. Combine that with the fact that all these cases are only going to be decreasing in total quantity out there, and we get the perfect opportunity that we're in right now. Now, the only reason I might be nervous about this area specifically is because we're starting to see a ton of these cases disappear from the market, specifically in terms of the quantity listed. I don't know if this is people just necessarily pulling off their cases because they think they're going to increase more, but we're right now in a position where we're not seeing a ton of these rare cases listed on the market. There's actually none over 100,000, which is slightly concerning considering a couple weeks ago this wasn't the case. Now, what does this mean long term? Not necessarily too much. If we want to remember, 500,000 Danger Zone cases were removed off the market overnight, and that's not something we really expect to have a huge impact if it's going to be over the longer period of time. It's just in the short term where we see potentially a little bit more volatility and a little bit of a precautious attitude we need to have. Now, focusing in on the mid-tier cases specifically, we can see a very interesting story, and that's the fact that not all of these cases have seen the same growth we saw for the cheaper rare cases. In fact, a lot of these ones are lacking behind significantly, and that's not actually too out of the ordinary. The fact is, these cases are just so expensive, they haven't been able to attract everyone. These cheaper rare cases are starting to get a little bit more expensive, approaching around $1 each, and yet they've still been able to encompass a lot of the unboxing demand. Compare that to $2 or $3, and you're starting to fall off a little bit. Not everyone can afford to spend that much money unboxing one singular case when the key is going to be basically double that price. However, the big thing I want to point out for these cases specifically is this is exactly what we expected. We didn't expect these cases to come in and absolutely dominate in terms of growth. These ones are a lot more stable, and that's exactly what we look for from them. I don't think investing into these ones specifically with the most growth in mind is going to be the most optimal. You're going to have the wrong mindset. These ones are definitely more about stability, and when the market transitions and starts to go down a little bit in the future, these ones are going to hang on much better than the other rare cheaper cases. Now, in this video right here, I made a call that cases were probably not going to be decreasing, and this was right after CS2 was released, and the truth is I'm making that call once again here. Not necessarily that they won't decrease very significantly from this point on, but that they're probably not going to decrease, and that's because of a couple different things. We can look at this graph right here, and we can see that the truth is a lot of these cases are starting to get dangerously low on the total quantity out there. If the quantity is low, the price is probably going to increase as long as the demand stays the same, and the demand has stayed the same. In fact, it's gone up a little bit in the past month or two, just because we can see right here the unboxing numbers are definitely there. People still want to unbox cases, and we can look at this graph right here. This is when the Anubis package was added, how big of a case deficit we were in, And this is where we're at right now, nearly identical to what we saw in April when we saw that massive case boom. The truth is, everything is looking extremely promising for the case market over the next upcoming months, and I don't think anything is going to necessarily change as long as it's not changed by Valve. A lot of these cases, especially the rare ones, are going to be in a very strong and advantageous position. Now, a question that comes along with this is this fueled by FOMO? Is this growth we've seen over the past couple of weeks fueled by FOMO? And I think there's definitely an extent to that. The growth we've seen over the past couple of weeks has been kicked off roughly by the removal of Paris and the release of CS2. Both of these events are definitely ones that have played up a little bit into the case market, and I think they are impacting it in a positive extent, at least at this point. With that being said, I don't think we're going to see a decrease in many of these cases just because of this. I think this is something that has kind of kicked off the growth, but I don't think it's going to be the reason that the growth ends up decreasing once these factors leave this area. Now, we've also seen some pretty massive growth for the Paris capsules themselves. A lot of them are up quite significantly since the removal, and in the past week or so, we've seen a very strong and healthy future for a lot of these capsules. Now, with that being said, I still think these capsules are a very questionable buy at their current price, just because we know that 25 cents was the price they were at just a couple weeks ago. You could have bought them then. You could have bought them for 100 days at that price. I don't know if it's necessarily the best price to buy, but a lot of these hollows have not seen the same growth, and I think that's exactly, once again, what we expected. The whole market at the current moment is doing exactly what we expected. That's because the Paris capsules are going up and the Paris hollows are going down. This is something we predicted was going to happen, and it's exactly playing out in the way we thought it would. With that being said, don't forget that Paris itself has not been tested just yet. The real reason we are concerned about Paris is basically if an RMR type event happens, where we see an operation released and then the capsules themselves start to fall down a little bit in price. We haven't seen anything that could actually impact Paris negatively at this point come out. Haven't seen a brand new case, haven't seen a brand new operation, nothing to take away the interest from Paris, and I think that's actually where we're going to be able to see if Paris is in a very optimal position or if it's just had an okay period of growth because there's no competition in the current moment. Now, if you've watched my channel for a while, you know I use something called the indicator, and the indicator is this sticker 2 capsule right here. Basically, it's been a very good trend long term to see when exactly the peaks were and what the general market is feeling at the moment, and we can see that it's in a pretty decent situation. It's almost starting to approach $30, which is almost the peak we saw after the peak. It's not too crazy, but I think it's definitely showing that we're in a very prosperous situation right now, and I don't want you to take this too seriously, but at the same time, do realize it has been correct so far. I'm also still very optimistic about the game because of Valve's persistence so far. We've seen many different updates rolled out multiple times a week at this point, and I think that's an absolutely crazy statement coming from Valve if you played this game long term. It's a very good position for Valve to be in, and although the updates haven't been addressing anything absolutely massive, the fact that they've been consistently rolling these out is a very strong indicator of what the future is to come. Now, with all that being said, what should you do right now? Well, in my honest opinion, I don't think you should be waiting any longer if you're getting into the rare cases and you don't think an operation is coming soon. That's the big thing, is if we see an operation or a major momentum shift in the market, it's probably going to be a very cheap opportunity to buy rare cases then. With that being said, we don't know, and it's something that is up for your personal interpretation. Overall, I think the market's in a very optimistic position currently just because of everything we've seen come together. Everything is looking forward and up for investors over the next couple of weeks, and I'm really excited to see, if we don't see an operation, what the market is going to end up doing in this specific situation. But that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.